Hello there. Today I was going to take a look at a Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand's South Island. So this is Russian Jack Sauvignon Blanc 2023. And the reason I thought I'd take a look at what is quite a reasonably priced Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc is that actually I've just noticed that this is the second most searched for Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, and in fact Marlborough wine, on the Wine Searcher website at the moment. So second only to Cloudy Bay. So it's clearly a wine people are looking for at the moment, and I thought I'd check it out. The back label tells me the brand is made at the Foley family owned Grove Mill winery in the Wairau Valley in Marlborough. Looking at the brand's website, Russian Jack is a brand comprising three wines: the Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, there's a Pinot Noir from Martinborough, and there's a Pinot Gris from Marlborough as well. Now, the Foley family, a company headed by Bill Foley, in fact I believe he's just stepped down as chairman, but it was Bill who built the company up, have actually invested quite shrewdly in New Zealand's wine industry. Bill has a history of investing actually in football teams in America, but has a number of wineries. He has two in Martinborough. There's Marlborough Vineyards and Te Karanga. He has three in Marlborough with Dashwood, Vavasour and Grove Mill. And then he owns the Mount Difficulty winery in central Otago. It's fair to say that all of these are well-respected brands and that Bill's invested in the estates to make sure that they're successful brands. His current venture is setting up a football team in Auckland, although I should say that's a soccer team, not an American football team. So the peculiar brand name Russian Jack commemorates a Latvian-born immigrant to New Zealand, somebody called Barrett Crumman. Barrett was born in Latvia in 1878 and in his 20s went away to sea and was a seaman on British-owned merchant ships. He came to New Zealand when the ship he was in, the Star of Canada, went aground in a storm on rocks off Gisborne. Having arrived in New Zealand, he loved the freedom that he had simply living on the road. He became what was known in those days as a swagger, somebody who would carry quite a large pack around with him and would walk from town to town, doing things such as scrub cutting, being a hand in a shearing shed, doing seasonal fruit picking, doing whatever work was necessary. And his heavy Latvian accent gained him the nickname Russian Jack. He was known to be tall and strong, he was known to be good-humoured and personable, and he was generally well presented. So he was a popular figure as he walked the roads of the southern part of New Zealand's North Island. Clearly living this way did take a toll on Jack's body, and later in life evidently he was less tall, eventually dying in Greytown, which is about halfway between Martinborough and Masterton. Jack was commemorated by a statue erected in Martinborough outside the local library. This story of a personable gentleman of the road getting on with everybody is a very typical story of New Zealand life at that time. But while it's a pleasant story, I'm not entirely sure how it relates to a wine brand from Marlborough. There's no evidence that Jack ever actually went to the South Island, and certainly there was no grape growing going on there until 4 years after his death, when in 1972 Montana started planting vineyards there. Jack spent most of his time travelling around the area between Martinborough and Masterton, but it wasn't until 12 years after his death that the modern Martinborough wine industry starts up again, with the establishment in 1980 of Martinborough Vineyards. But still, it's an endearing story, so let's not spoil that, shall we? So to the wine. The fruit for this comes from two locations. It comes from vineyards in the Wairau Valley and in the Awatere Valley. The fruit is almost certainly picked at night using a machine harvester and then taken rapidly to the winery. The cool of the evening and the rapid transportation is all geared at trying to ensure that there is as little oxidation of the fruit as possible, and the lovely freshness of the Sauvignon Blanc fruit is preserved into the bottle. The fruit is crushed, gently pressed, and the juice put into tank to settle. Fermentation will take place in temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks and will be initiated by the addition of a cultured yeast. And these yeasts will be chosen with a view to accentuating particular aromatic characteristics of the Sauvignon Blanc. Wine ferments until it's dry and will then be blended and bottled. It's 100% Sauvignon Blanc, so the blending is simply of the different regions that we're talking about there. And in general, the Awatere Valley will be cooler because it's slightly further south, and you have more pronounced cooling winds blowing along the valley. And so that will give you the fresher, crisper elements in the fruit, whereas the fruit from the Wairau Valley will generally produce rounder, richer, slightly more tropical natures to the fruit, giving aromas of guava, passion fruit, possibly even mango. Malolactic conversion will be blocked. The wine won't see any lees aging, and in fact it will undergo very little aging other than just the time it takes to blend it and unify it. And will be bottled young to be consumed while still beautifully bright and fresh. So let's have a look at it, shall we? Colour wise, there's a pale, possibly greenish yellow there. The wine has 13% alcohol. It is forming tears on the side of the glass, but only just. And there's a quite obvious sort of slight prickle of CO2 in the wine as I swirl it there. Not necessarily meaning that it has a fizz, but just that there's a little bit of retained carbon dioxide, possibly deliberately just to help maintain freshness. So let's see what we make of the aromas, shall we? The aromas are pungent and they're vivid. You've got quite green aromas. The aromas have high tone notes of cut grass, nettles. There are slightly fuller, richer notes of asparagus, pea pods, and perhaps also a tiny touch of just passion fruit peeking through there at the end. There's plenty going on and there's a good intensity. So let's have a taste. The wine is dry and light-bodied. There's some quite good fresh crispness coming through there. There is a mid-palate sort of ripeness. It's where notes of, I suppose there's rounder notes of pea pods, asparagus, and then opening up to be a sort of a more aromatic passion fruit sort of richness there. There are sort of greener, more nettly notes around the edges of my tongue there, where the acidity is causing me to salivate. There are sort of, as I say, nettly, maybe slightly grassy notes. There's a good intensity. These flavours are lasting well. The alcohol is reasonably in balance. It's perhaps giving a little bit of weight and roundness to the back palate. The wine is light to medium bodied, and there is a lovely intensity of fruit right across the back of my tongue there. And there are notes of passion fruit, touches of gooseberry, maybe even a bit of kiwi fruit. There are those sharp but really quite well-defined, quite green notes coming through there. Not green to the extent of capsicum type harshness. I suppose actually there's just enough acidity just to clean up the palate there. This is a wine that's been very well made to present its aromas in a way that they're fresh, they're appealing, they have lovely intensity and they last very well. The Wine Searcher aggregated score for this, I note, is 87 out of 100 for all vintages. We don't actually have a score for this particular vintage. I think perhaps drinking this now while it's young and fresh, I might be tempted to suggest that a score of 88 or 89 might be more appropriate for this one. I can see why people are looking for this. Given its relatively affordable price, this is delivering plenty of flavour and some tangible enjoyment. Personally, I wouldn't be thinking of aging this style of wine, although it can be done. I mean, I did try a Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc from 2003 a couple of days ago, and it was actually really quite enjoyable. It was a quite particular style, but I think other than for experimental purposes, there's no need to age a wine like this. It's meant to offer all those appealing Sauvignon aromas and flavours now, and it's delivering those really quite well. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you found the tasting of interest. If you've enjoyed it, please do press the like button. We'd really appreciate that. If you'd like to watch more of these videos, it would be great if you'd consider subscribing to our channel. That way you can set yourself a notification and receive an alert every time we publish a new tasting online. If you have any comments you'd like to leave, please pop those in the comments box below. That would be fantastic to see those. We'd really love to hear what you think about what we're doing here with the tastings, the wines we're looking at, or anything else related to that. If you have any friends you think might like to watch the video, do also please consider passing it on to them. We'd really appreciate your support in doing that. If you want to find this wine, I will leave a link to the Wine Searcher webpage for this vintage of this wine in the comments below, so you can click on that and follow it through to our page there, where we'll tell you where it's available, what its pricing is, and there are also some tabs you can click through to find out more information about the region, the grape variety, how the wine is made, what the critics have said, any awards that this and other vintages have won. You can do a vintage comparison, and there's a price history there. So hopefully there's pretty much all the information anybody could ever want to be well informed while making a purchase of this wine. So thank you so much for joining us, and I do hope you'll manage to make some time and come and join us again for another tasting in the very near future. Bye for now.